My reflection blinked before I did. Not a trick of light, not a delayed movement. It blinked, and I was still staring. For a second, I told myself I imagined it, because that's what you do when something impossible happens. You look for the mistake, the glitch, the logical explanation. But I was standing inches from the mirror, close enough to see the redness in my eyes, close enough to see the faint tremble in my own breath. There was no delay, no distortion, no shadow playing tricks. My reflection blinked, and I didn't. I was standing in the bathroom late at night, the kind of late where the world feels paused. Everyone else in the house was asleep. The lights were off everywhere except the bathroom, where a harsh white bulb hummed softly above the mirror. I had woken up thirsty, my mouth dry, my head heavy with sleep, my thoughts still tangled in whatever dream I'd just escaped. The silence felt thick. I turned on the tap, cupped water in my hands, and splashed my face. The cold shock made me gasp quietly. For a moment, it felt grounding, real, like I was fully awake again. When I looked up, my reflection stared back at me. Everything was normal. Same tired eyes, same messy hair, same familiar face I'd seen thousands of times before. I remember thinking how strange it was that even when you feel half dead from lack of sleep, your reflection always looks alert, almost watchful. I leaned closer to the mirror, resting my hands on the sink. That's when it happened. My reflection blinked, and I didn't. The moment was so fast that my brain refused to accept it, like a skipped frame in a video. I stood there, frozen, replaying it in my mind, trying to convince myself that I had imagined it, that my eyes were dry, that the light flickered, that exhaustion had finally caught up with me. But something felt wrong, very wrong. I stared harder, forcing my eyes to stay open, ignoring the burning sensation building behind them. My reflection stared back, perfectly still, too still. I watched every tiny detail, the way my chest rose and fell, the slight tremble in my fingers gripping the edge of the sink, the faint twitch in my jaw. My reflection copied everything perfectly, like a flawless recording. I felt ridiculous for being scared, so I tested it. I raised my right hand slowly, deliberately. My reflection raised its right hand too. I tilted my head slightly to the left. It followed. I let out a quiet breath and almost laughed. My nerves were getting the better of me. It was late. I was tired, that was all. I straightened up and reached for the towel. That's when my reflection smiled. I didn't. The smile was subtle, just a small upward curve at the corner of the mouth, barely noticeable, but it wasn't mine. My stomach dropped so suddenly it felt like I might be sick. My heart began to pound, loud and heavy, echoing in my ears. I stood frozen, my hand hovering midair, afraid that any sudden movement might shatter whatever fragile balance existed between me and the thing in the mirror. The smile lingered, then it faded. My reflection returned to normal. I told myself it hadn't happened. That memory is unreliable, especially at night. That fear fills in gaps you don't realize are there. That mirrors can play tricks when light hits them the wrong way. I turned away from the mirror and shut off the light. Darkness rushed in instantly, swallowing the bathroom whole. As I stepped into the hallway, I felt it, that familiar, crawling sensation, the feeling of being watched. I stopped walking. Slowly, I turned back toward the bathroom. The light was still off, but I could see my reflection. The mirror was dark, but my face was still there, faintly visible, outlined by the dim glow from the hallway light behind me. It was smiling again, wider this time. The smile didn't reach the eyes. I stumbled backward, my heel catching on the edge of the rug. My back hit the wall hard enough to knock the air out of my lungs. My vision blurred as panic finally broke free. I squeezed my eyes shut, counted my breaths, trying to convince myself that when I opened them, everything would be normal. When I looked again, the hallway was empty. The bathroom was dark. The mirror showed nothing. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the edge of my bed with the lights on, avoiding every reflective surface in the room. The black screen of my TV, the window, even my phone, which I turned face down on the table. Morning came slowly, painfully slowly. When the sun finally rose, I convinced myself that exhaustion had caused everything. Hallucinations, stress, a trick of light and shadow mixed with a half-dream state. I avoided mirrors for days after that. I brushed my teeth with my eyes closed. I shaved by touch alone. I walked past shop windows without looking at them. It was easier to pretend nothing had happened than to risk seeing something I couldn't explain. Eventually, life pulled me back into routine. Work, conversations, normal distractions. The fear faded into the background until one night, weeks later, I was lying in bed, scrolling through my phone in the dark. The room was quiet again, too quiet. Locked my phone and set it down on the nightstand. That's when I saw it. My reflection. The screen was off, but my face was still there, watching. The reflection didn't move when I did. It just stared. And just before I flipped the phone face down and shoved it out of sight, it blinked.
If this story stayed with you longer than it should have, subscribe to Noxmare.
Because some nightmares don't end. They learn how to look back.